What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to That's Trucking. Today is Friday, and we have made it back home after completing a total of 2,500 miles this week, loaded and empty. Okay, so we ran our butts off, we ran hard. But I want to take a second and talk to y'all about fuel surcharge. A lot of people getting into lease operations, I realize, after talking with a lot of people, they get into doing these lease purchases. You get brand new owner operators out here. You know, just in general knowledge, nobody fully understands fuel surcharge, okay? So first, let's take a definition of what exactly fuel surcharge is. So fuel surcharge is basically an additional fee that is paid out to contract carriers, or if you're an owner operator, that fee is included in your rate. That fuel surcharge, what I mean by including your rate for owner operators is if you book a load for 1,000 and that load, say for instance, going 500 miles. All right, you're already getting $2 a mile. But where's your fuel coming from? Okay, it's going to come out of that 1,000. So if you're going to book a load going 500 miles, you want to determine how much you're going to actually need to run that load in order to cover fuel expenses. Granted, going 500 miles, you might say, give me $1,250, right? $1,250, you get an extra $250 to cover fuel expense, thus in return, fuel surcharge. You get the extra $250 cover fuel expense, you make $1,000 on the back end, okay? Now, fuel surcharge is based on the national average mile per gallon for a semi-truck. It is also based off the national base fuel cost, and there's many ways that you can calculate it. Like, for example, say for instance, a few years ago, fuel was one time fuel was like $2.50. If fuel went up 6 cents above the base price, $2.50 being the base price, it went up 6 cents above the base price, you may get 1 cent per mile on a fuel surcharge. Okay? So you start adding it up. As fuel start to climb up, you start adding on 1 cent for every 6 cents. So if it becomes, say if it goes from 256 to 262, now it's an additional 2 cents per mile. Okay, that's what it's based off of. So that cent per mile rate will be then divided by your total amount of miles for the trip. Now, that can be based on practical miles, which is known as air miles, or it can be total distance miles. All right? You take that rate, multiply it, you got your fuel surcharge. Now, you have to keep up with the national federal average because it changes roughly every 3 months or so. So 1 minute, the percentage, say for the percentage of the entire base or the entire rate that you're getting on a load might be 27%. So 27% of that rate will get calculated as fuel surcharge. But now it can go down. Say for it's only 13%. So you have to stay in tune if you want to be able to successfully run a business. Now, fuel surcharge, and the reason I'm talking about this because I see a lot of people somehow run out of fuel when they're on the road. A lot of owner operators, just being back out on the road so far, I've seen a lot of owner operators, new owner operators run out of fuel. It's like, how? Oh, they're not paying me enough. They haven't given me enough fuel to do this, to do that. If you didn't do the full research, why are you jumping into the business of an owner operator if you don't know what your operating cost is and how much fuel it's going to take to run your truck to do a load? Okay? Fuel surcharge is only meant to be able to alleviate some of the cost of the fuel, to keep you from paying 100% of the fuel out of your pocket. Okay? So, lease purchases. All right? People do leases and all that stuff, lease on the companies. This fuel surcharge is only meant to help you cover some of that cost, okay? So somebody be like, oh, I got $13.50 for the load. I got $13.50 for the load. Okay, well, how far are you going? Oh, I'm going 550 miles. All right, calculate. Okay. So basically they gave you something for your fuel. Fuel surcharge. It's a surcharge. It's given in retrospect that, hey, it's like somebody give you a ride, okay? Ride to the store, all right? Hey, I give you $5 to run me up to the corner store. That's fuel surcharge. They giving you something towards the gas you done put in your tank, okay? The fuel surcharge is not meant for you to say, okay, prime example, a lot of super short runs will pay like $80 in fuel surcharge. That $80 is, with today's prices, because today's prices were like $4 a gallon, $4.80, what is that, 20 gallons? 20 gallons of fuel, I'm sorry, if you got a heavy foot, even at 20 gallons, pulling a heavy load, that ain't finna get you no 300 miles down the road, all right? It ain't getting you no 300 miles down the road, especially if you're only averaging 6 miles per gallon. That's 120 miles. It ain't getting you no 300. You can't go 300 miles off $80 dang because they paid you $80 in fuel surcharge or $139 or you going a certain distance. No, that's not saying that they're paying you for your fuel so you can go where you gotta go. No, it's saying that on top of your base rate, which is completely separate, they're paying you a little money towards your fuel. Now, don't get it twisted. The fuel surcharge is not set, okay? It's not set by the federal regulations. It's not Federal Reserve, whoever, federal government. They do not regulate that. That is all between contract and broker on how this fuel surcharge get worked out and sent, okay? Now, if I'm not mistaken, the fuel surcharge, this whole thing started back in I want to say 83 or 73, okay? I'll put it somewhere on the screen. It's like 1973 or 83. This is when it started, okay? Now, it helped out a lot. It helped drivers get where they need to go. It helped drivers alleviate some of the costs out of their pocket versus taking a big hit, things like that. So, long story short, if you're going to have to go, say for instance, an 800-mile round trip, right? And you're averaging 6 miles, 7 miles to the gallon, okay? On average, a lot of semi-trucks and a lot of older semi-trucks are probably still doing like 5.5 because of technology. Newer trucks can probably do 6.5, 7, a little bit more, depends on how fast you're driving. If, say for instance, so on average, even between technology back then and technology to today, semi-trucks on average on full tanks, if you got two 100-gallon tanks, will run you between, I would say, 1,000 to 1,200 miles, okay? Really and truly, 1,000 to 1,100 miles. Because nobody want to run that thing all the way down to the brim and you run out of fuel. Okay, so if you run it and you get to a quarter, you should at least don't win 1,000 miles on that. So if you're about to go 800 miles, okay, and they're paying, say for instance, 800 miles, 6 miles per gallon, let's do it. That's so about, say for instance, roughly about two, say for instance, it could be close to like, oh my Lord, I can't even add right now. 650, 7. So savings about 100 and, let's say average 130 gallons. I'm gonna just throw a number out there because I can't think straight. Let's say 130 gallons, right? At today's price, 130 gallons times $4. Do the math. Per gallon times 4. Okay? It's gonna take some money to run that load. If they only giving you, say for instance, $300 on your fuel surcharge to run an 800-mile run, okay? It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. Especially when you got a heavy load, you got to do round trip. So understand fuel surcharge is only there to help alleviate the cost. You still have to pay money out of your pocket so that you have enough fuel to run where you have to run. All right? Also, on top of that, I feel that, hey, the first load you do of the week is your fuel load for the week. That's your fuel load. That's your money-making load. That first load that you run, that's fuel, automatic. Because if you the type of person that's running 2,500, 3,000 miles for the week, okay? 2,500, 3,000 miles for the week. Say, for instance, you can fill up both your tanks at 650. You doing 2,500 miles, all right? That's $1,200 you about to spend for the week. $1,300 you about to spend for the week. If you running 3,000 miles, you're going to fill up 2.5 times. 2.5 times. Even as a company driver, if you think about it and you look at how much fuel goes in your truck, if you start off the beginning of the week and you got a full tank and you know you run 3,000 miles a week, look at how much fuel, how many times you fill up when you go to the service station. It's going to be at least 2.5 times a week. Because if you fill up on a Monday, you probably going to fill up again on a Wednesday, and you're going to put at least half, what I would call half, because you're going to fill up probably again on Friday if you want them over, if you stay out there alone. But if you're only doing 3,000 before your reset, if you take half a tank, you just did 3,000 miles. Know your truck. Know how fuel surcharge works. Look it up. Do the research. Go on to OIDA, OOIDA.com. Go on there. Look at the fuel surcharge. They got a calculator over there. I'll try to leave it somewhere down below. But go over there and check it out. And I'll catch y'all next video.